Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Sunday afternoon. It's August the 30th, and just reflecting on our worship service this morning. And I was just kind of thinking about the message and wanted to kind of give it a synopsis, kind of put it in a shell for you and give you some idea of kind of what I was thinking as the message was taking place this morning. The reality is we all struggle with difficult people in our lives. I mean, truth is they can be from our home, they can be from our workplace, they can be from relationships that we have socially. We all come across difficult people. And the focus in today's message was, how do we handle people who are difficult? How do we address those people? And we looked at Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus said, if someone slaps you on the right cheek, turn the other cheek. And Jesus said, you've heard it said, love your enemies. I love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies. So we looked at that passage and we said a couple things about that. We said, first of all, that's hard to do. It's hard to love people who aren't lovely. It's hard to love people who we consider to be our enemies. That's a tough thing. It runs against the grain of who we are. But even beyond that, we really need some tools as to how to deal with people who are not, who are hard to deal with. And we talked about 4 things, and I just want to run through those real quickly here in our little video that we have. The first thing I said to the congregation this morning is, when you've got difficult people in your life, don't retaliate. I mean, the truth is, you can't do anything about other people, but you can do everything about you and how you respond to things. And if you choose to retaliate, a couple of things can happen. One is you can escalate the situation. I mean, it may have started out bad, but if you retaliate, it's rarely ever going to make it better. Almost never does that happen. It almost always makes it worse. So if you retaliate, you escalate the situation. The second thing that happens when you choose to retaliate to a person who's hurt you is that you surrender your own peace and joy and your own sense of sanity to them. When someone has hurt you, someone has been difficult, someone is difficult, and they hurt you, you can't continue to give them power by surrendering your serenity and your peace to them. So first thing I said to the congregation this morning was, don't retaliate. That's never going to be a winning scenario for you. The second thing that we talked about this morning was, when you are dealing with difficult people, sometimes you need to really ask the question, how am I contributing to this problem? In other words, look inward. What am I doing? What might I be doing to make things worse in this relationship? And again, that's hard. That's really hard, because often what we want to do is we want to blame other people. It's their fault, it's his fault or her fault or whatever it is. The tough work, but I think the essential work, comes when we do a little bit of examining of our interior motives. What am I doing to make things worse? And in the significant relationships in your life, somewhere along the way, you've got to ask yourself, what am I doing to make it worse? Am I doing something to make it worse? Because rarely is it ever just a one-way street. So we don't retaliate, and we have to do some inward looking. The other thing I mentioned to the congregation this morning was this whole idea of trying to understand. Trying to understand. Now follow me on this, okay? When a person hurts you, typically that's because they've got some kind of wound inside them. And I used the phrase this morning, you've heard it a bunch of times, I know, hurting people hurt people. And there's so much truth to that, because the reality is, if a person's been hurt, they operate out of their hurt. So it helps us when we try to understand a little bit about what's going on with them. And I mentioned to the congregation this morning, the people in my life that have hurt me, when I've taken time to try and understand them, it makes things a lot better. It's hard for me to resent a person that I'm trying to understand. So, we don't retaliate. We look inward. We try and understand. But the fourth thing I said to the congregation this morning was, you've got a decision to make. You can't change anything about what another person does. But when you put your head on the pillow at night, you can have a sense of peace about how you've dealt with people who've been difficult. It's easy to deal with easy people. Jesus knew that it's easy to love people who are lovely. The challenge is not in people who are lovely. The challenge is in people who are not lovely. The test of your Christian faith is always going to be in the people that are hard to love. And I also warned the congregation this morning that sometimes people get toxic. Sometimes the best loving you can do is from a distance. Jesus told us to love them, not like them. And there are a lot of people in this world that I love that I don't like. So I want to challenge you this week as you begin to deal with difficult people. Think about these things. Deal with this issue of, what's going to happen if I retaliate? What am I doing to contribute to this problem? What's going on in this person's life right now? Where's the hurt? What's causing all this anger, all this lashing out? And then to realize I've got a decision to make, but I've also got to place my head on the pillow at night. So I hope this is a little bit of help to you. The scripture I used this morning was Matthew chapter 5. And so take a look there. That's part of the Sermon on the Mount. Thanks a lot and have a great afternoon.